Hi, this is D. Sidney Potter. We're going to talk a little bit about real estate and more particularly about how real estate, or rather what to look for in a real estate contract offer. This is fairly important. I can tell you, having bought dozens of homes in California, Nevada, and Arizona, this is something I was faced with continuously, and also as a former commercial real estate broker, how I advise my clients on what they should look for in terms of the more germane applicable aspects on a real estate offer contract rather. Now, we're going to talk about what to look for on the perspective of a buyer. And I say that because in the year 2013, 2014, we're technically, just for the most part, really in a buyer's market than a seller's market. There are some markets that are doing outstandingly well, but for the most part, it's still a buyer's market. So with that, first and foremost, and I'm going to give you a quick checklist, you obviously want to have terms and conditions that are favorable to you as the buyer. That certainly just makes sense. In terms of 5 quick bullet points I can give you, they're going to seem so apparent that it may seem elementary, but they're actually fairly important. First issue, make certain you have the right name or names of the sellers. You can do that by pulling title and that you have the correct spelling. This is also critically important that you see whether or not there's a trust, because if there's a trust associated with the ownership of that property, there could be other decision makers not apparent, let's say on the tax assessor's roll. Very important. In the event that you made an offer and you had the signature and you thought you were good to go, that may not be the case, and it may be an event where that contract offer, real estate offer contract, could be voided at a later date because you didn't have all the fee simple owners on the signature line. Secondly, make certain that when it comes back, if it does come back, the real estate offer that you served up, that it have the correct date and that it be properly executed. Incredibly important. It's also very, very important, and any lawyer will tell you this, and this goes to the statute of frauds. They learned that first year of property law in law school. Statute of law, or rather the statute of frauds, requires that there be an expiration date on the offer in which you're making. Just about in all cases, in the event that you did get an executed contract and you found later that it did not have an expiration date, and that it's not just simply open-ended, that buyer, or rather the seller who executed the offer contract, could actually void and make the contract unenforceable. Another element here that's pretty important is make certain that there, in terms of your inspection issues, make sure that there's a time frame on the inspection issue. That's similar to the expiration date in terms of the offer themselves, and that you have an inspection data or offer in that contract offer. Not having that, unless you're sight unseen, unless you're buying as is, that obviously for a residential piece of real estate is absolutely inapplicable. And lastly, I would say this is fairly important, is that these are contingency issues. Contingencies issues in terms of what should be in a contract offer would include finance contingency. Certainly don't want to be forced to buy a piece of real estate wherein you didn't qualify for financing. Inspection that we just talked about, usually a home inspector. You want to have that inclusive unless it's being sight unseen or as is. Which I would say buyer beware in the event that you're going that direction. Another type of inspection contingency issue that you'll want is the appraisal. If the property doesn't come to value that you're buying it at, you may have second thoughts on closing the deal. And lastly, you're certainly going to want to make certain what type of issue makes the money go hard. Now in the industry, when we say when the money goes hard, that means that your deposit either be $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $3,000, whatever, $1,500. When that money goes hard, it's in escrow, goes straight to the seller. It really is at the point of no return. You'll want to make certain that you have certain mechanisms. Typically, sometimes they may require due signature of yourself, the buyer, and the seller to agree that the money is going hard, that the deposit is going to the seller, and that you're ready to move to the next step. With that, went really quick, but they're very important terms right here. I hope it was helpful. This is D. Sidney Potter, and we'll talk about important terms and conditions in real estate contract offers. Thank you much.